I have had times and days where I cannot even begin to explain how I feel. Hello and welcome to another episode of Bitia's Diary. My name is Bitia and today I will be talking about a topic that is very, very close to my heart, and this is mental health. Research shows that 1 out of 4 people in Kenya suffers a mental health issue. This in turn means that 12 million Kenyans go through mental health issues every day. Different people view it differently. Some believe it is more of a spiritual issue, while others believe it is a medical one. Here are some of the views that people have on mental health.
High cost of living. Secondly, kukosa institutions zenye zinaweza saidia watu ku air out their mental issues.
Somebody hustling, tuseme kama mimi I had an ambition of doing something, then nobody to support me. So I just decided to hustle to make it. I cannot do it myself. No. So this thing, it is hitting me inwards.
Problems we have, our childhood traumas, our just the things which we have grown up with, and some of them which we relate to out in the outside world.
Hii ni kitu inaweza affect yeyote, haijalishi umri, haijalishi miaka. Unapata saa nyingine, nimesema hata kuanzia 20, hata unaweza pata saa nyingine mtu ni 18, lakini bado anaonekana tu distract, upset mind. Hadi wewe mtu akili yake imekuwa tu confused, imekuwa imechangwa kabisa, na bado maybe anasoma, na bado maybe anawaza kwa yale maisha yake madogo, bado hajaanza kustruggle, lakini mind yake imekuwa disrupted.
Vitu zenye zinaweza fanya mental issues decrease. One ni kukuwa na hizo facilities.
Just even somebody who is understanding, you can give him advice how he can go through the problem, things like that. Or if you are in a situation of helping, in a position of helping, you can support.
For you to get help, you can either talk to someone, go to a therapist.
There are at least 6 types of known mental health disorders, namely mood disorders, that is depression or bipolar. Number 2, personality disorders. Number 3, anxiety disorders. Number 4, eating disorders. Number 5, psychotic disorders. And number 6, substance abuse disorders. There are also trauma-related disorders. It is also said that 50% of mental health issues begin by 14 years of age and 3/4 by the age of 24. With the harsh economic times and changing age, more people are likely to fall into the trap of mental stress and depression, either on the surface level or at deeper levels. We all might get into the different solutions that can be offered, but before anything else, we need a first aid kit. And before we go any further, maybe I can just give a definition of mental health according to the dictionary. Mental health is the emotional well-being, especially with reference to one's outlook on life, ability to cope with stress, or the absence of a mental disorder. I repeat again, mental health is the emotional well-being, especially with reference to one's outlook on life, the ability to cope with stress, or the absence of mental disorder. Now, the reason why I chose this topic is because apart from it being very close to my heart, it's becoming very rampant in the country and even internationally. We have talked about mental health, but I feel like it has not been dealt with enough because it is slowly killing people. It is, yes, there was COVID and there are other pandemics, but I believe at this point, mental health has become such a big issue. Now, personally, if I may share with you, I've had my own struggle. I have had times and days where I cannot even begin to explain how I feel in terms of the struggles that I face, and maybe that causes my inability maybe to do certain things. I mean, there are days that I have been unable to get up early from my bed. There are days I don't even feel like, I didn't feel like taking a shower, you know, and those things happen. And again, I also believe that mental health, or rather the journey to mental health is a process. Like I said, it's a journey and it's a step-by-step thing. So I felt like I should share with you on this matter. I may not be an expert on the issue. I may not have gone to school for it, but I have my own experiences with it, yeah, and I have my own struggles with it. And so going through life and going through a lot of things that are happening around us, especially if I narrow it down to Kenya, there have been a lot of issues going on with people, you know. Mental health issues have been caused by struggles that people have dealt with, maybe because of lack, and you know how the economy has been so crazy lately. Recently there was this story about the unga prices going so high and on and on, and the cost of living generally has gone up. Yeah, that is one of the things that can cause you know, stress and you know, such kind of a thing. Another thing that maybe can cause mental health issues is heartbreaks. Yeah, love is a powerful thing, and it can either make someone or destroy them. And so when someone goes through a heartbreak, they tend to struggle with it. Some may get into depression, some may get into unusual habits or bad habits, or they're not themselves anymore, and this becomes an issue for them. There's so many things that can cause people to get into a state of depression and stress, which is majorly what I'm going to talk about today. As you've heard at the beginning of the video, there are other disorders that are associated with mental health, but generally right now I'm going to talk about stress and depression. And I don't want to dwell so much on what happens or what can happen. I just want us to have a first aid kit on what can be done in case of stress, or, you know, because most of the time when people are getting into depression, they rarely know it. Like sometimes when someone loses a loved one, they may slowly, you know, go down. They may not realize it. They may think that they've already mourned and they've gone through the process, but in real sense, the issue is still within them. So there are things and there are steps that need to be taken so that these people do not get into depression. Now, there are so many ways that depression is treated. If I can just go a little bit aside, and one of these ways is antidepressants for most people, but I also believe there are also other ways, such as spiritual ways and prayers. But before I get into all of that, maybe just to narrow it down, I'll just go through the things that I think that are necessary when someone is going through stress or depression. Number one, I believe that it is important to get and accept help from someone, you know. That is the first thing. Trusting people nowadays is a bit difficult, yeah, and especially, you know, there's so much going on around people and the social world. But if you can just find one person who you can be able to open up to and just talk to and speak it out, it is a big help. It is a big step into getting better. So number one is get help. Talk to someone that you can trust, and then from there you can move on. The whole point is not to keep it to yourself, all right? Then number two on my first aid kit is that you keep fighting. Even when things are still looking dark, you have to fight for yourself. You have to fight for those who love you. You have to fight for those who have not given up on you. You have to remember what is important, you know, and that the issue that isn't in, you know, it might not be instantly solved, but you have to keep fighting, because with most people, stress is not something that you can just click your fingers and just deal with it. You have to keep fighting. You have to, push, even if the thoughts are just streaming in and all that is happening around you. Just keep fighting and choose yourself every time. All right, that's number 2 on the first aid kit. And number 3 on the kit is pray. Now, being a Christian, and I love Jesus, I believe in prayer, and it really, really helps when you're praying, because in it you're speaking it out. In as much as you're not speaking it out to a person who you can physically see, you are speaking it out, which is very, very important. And when you pray, there's a release that comes with it. Yeah. And sometimes in the state of stress or depression, you're not in a position to pray really hard or deep or speak so many words, And sometimes I tell people, when you're not in a position to pray and you really can't get those words out, God is able to understand your tears. If you have to cry, He's going to, and just tell God, these tears are my prayer tonight or right now, and I want you to heal me from this, or I want to get out of this through this prayer, And for some people, it works like you're talking. You see the way you can talk to your friend or just talk generally, like without going into the whole procedure and protocol of, I come before you, God. You can just have a conversation with God, maybe in your room or wherever you're comfortable, and just speak something. It doesn't have to be a million words. It doesn't have to be too much. Just as long as you speak it from your heart, that whatever you're giving out through your mouth is coming from your heart, then that is already a prayer med. So that's number 3 on the first aid kit. Number 4 is find your distraction. A distraction could be sports, it could be a passion, it could be music, it could be movies. Just find your distraction. What is it that makes you feel a bit better, that makes you feel like you're forgetting the things that are stressing you out? As long as the distraction is not something that can destroy you, as long as the distraction is not something that can destroy your relationship with God, use that distraction. Like for me, I think music helps me a lot. When I just listen to music, there's a calmness that comes with it. There's someone else, maybe with them, running or any kind of sports helps them. So as long as it's not a destructive distraction, find your distraction. Destructive distractions can be something like maybe partying too much, or taking a lot of alcohol, substance abuse, and that kind of a thing. Avoid that. But as long as your distraction is a positive one, make sure whenever you're about to get into that negative zone, distract yourself. All right, that's number 4 on our first aid kit. And number 5 is get rid of or avoid triggers. These are triggers that lead you back into your stress mode. These are triggers that lead you into those thoughts of negativity and lack and so many, let's just say, negativity around you. Anything that can trigger you, avoid it. Get away from it. If it's a person, just stay away. If it's something, stay away from it. I know sometimes it gets a little bit difficult, because sometimes triggers just happen even in the middle of a crowd or just randomly. But if you can avoid the triggers, the ones that you are aware of, avoid them as much as you can. Anything that may lead you into depressive thoughts, avoid it. All right. And number 6 on our first aid kit is surround yourself with positive energy. Surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with positive environments. Be with people who can help you. Be with people who can support you. Be with people who understand you, maybe to a certain extent. All right. Avoid anywhere or anything or anyone that is negative in any way, maybe through speech or action. Just avoid negativity and surround yourself with positivity. All right. And number 7 on our first aid kit, which is our last but not least, is take care of your mind. All right. What you feed your mind constantly affects you in the end. So take care of what you think about. Take care of the things that get inside of you, because your mind has there are two parts of your mind, right? The conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Now, if you keep feeding yourself things that are not right or things that get you into a bad state, eventually it's going to get into your subconscious. And once it's in your subconscious, it's very, very difficult for you to get it out of that place, because it's always there. It's not in the present, but it can always, and that's where even the triggers come in, because the thoughts are in your subconscious mind. So whenever there's a trigger, it comes back. So just be careful, take care of your mind, take care of yourself. Whatever comes in, don't let negativity come in. And if it does, because hey, we're still living in this world, make sure you get it out. Make sure it does not stay in your subconscious, right? So those are the 7 first aid kits. That's the best word I could give them. Those are the 7 things that I think are very, very important when you're dealing with a mental health issue. All right, and all that said and done, I think the first thing is to generally avoid a mental health problem. Before we get into this first aid kit, let's avoid the problem generally. If we can see it coming, run. All right, that is the first thing that we should do, because these things are happening around us and we can't avoid them, and it's life and there's so much going on. But you need to do these things. You need to fight. You need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of the ones that you love, and you need to avoid anything that can lead you into that state. So a big shout out to everyone who is supporting every agenda of a mental health issue, and keep doing what you're doing. Keep supporting each other. Keep being there for people who are in such a state, in whichever level, whichever stage that they are in. And to everyone going through it, just know that you can always come out of it. You can always come out victorious and a fighter, as long as you have the willpower, as long as you want to separate from such issues, and you pray, you do all these things that I've talked about, you can get out of it. So I'm sending my love to anyone and everyone that is going through a hard time right now, that is going through stress, depression, or any kind of mental health issue, and to everyone supporting their loved ones, their friends that are going through the same. I'm also sending out my love. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please remember to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that you can get the next episode as it comes. Peace. It is difficult for someone suffering from stress to clearly explain how they feel. Most of their attempts lead to misinterpretations that sometimes may label them as attention seekers. Due to lack of understanding and proper handling, a lot of stress and depression cases have led to suicide missions, broken homes, and unfulfilled destinies. Remember, be kind, because we are all going through something that may not have physically manifested.